President Plateau today met with traditional rulers and he's asked for their help in security, governance, and also reactions of citizens to fuel subsidy removal. He said he is happy his government removed it. And it's getting to the final moment for the election of the presiding officer for the 10th National Assembly. We're looking at what the 10th National Assembly should be focusing on. These two men seems to be the one that will be jostling for that seat on Tuesday. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So much activities in the presidential villa in the past days. Since the president assumed office, he's been meeting series of guests at the presidential villa. It was the traditional rulers that he met today, and we'll be bringing you up to speed on what they said, how the meeting went, and what they agreed on. But tonight, we'll be focusing on the situation in Plateau State, the clashes and the violent situation that we're seeing in some areas. Since it's been past years of this kind of clashes and violence that we're seeing in the state. But how is the governor of the state handling these? The new governor, Caleb Mutuang, will be our guest tonight on the program. Yeah, I'll be having a central election, and we'll be looking at all the dimension to the election day, Tuesday, for the 10th National Assembly. So stick around with me, everyone. First, let's check out your political roundup stories.
Former governor of River State, Nyesom Wike, has insisted that the Senate presidency must come to the South-South and that the former Senate minority leader, Godswill Akpabio, remains the best man for the job. He says the unity of Nigeria is dependent on the effective management of its ethno-religious diversity. The former governor says no National Assembly member in River State is expected to vote against Senator Akpabio and Tajuddin Abbas, who were nominated by their party, the APC, for Senate presidency and Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Whether you're in Senate, whether you're in House of Reps, we have no choice but to support Godswill Akpabio as Senate President.
It's barely 4 days to the elections into the leadership positions of the 10th National Assembly, and Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it is rallying round all other opposition parties to ensure that their numerical strength is reflected in whoever will emerge on the day of the elections. Spokesperson of the PDP, Mr. Debo Ologunagba, told journalists at a news conference in Abuja that the PDP is very much interested in the leadership positions of the National Assembly. A chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, Mr. Kenneth Imasuagbon, has defected to the Labour Party and declared its intention to run for the governorship seat of Edo State come 2024. Mr. Imasuagbon, who was received at the National Secretariat of the Labour Party by the National Chairman of the party, Mr. Julius Abure, pledged to key into the philosophy of the party as laid down and adopted by the presidential candidate of the party in the 2023 elections, Mr. Peter Obi.
The values and philosophy, ideology of the Labour Party is the people's ideology, the welfare of the people, which is paramount.
Legal luminary Afe Babalola has frowned at the idea of severance packages for presidents and governors, among others, describing it as evidence of unwillingness to sacrifice for a nation in need. For the legal icon, politicians should not be paid severance packages after enjoying lots of excessive benefits drawn from the nation's dwindling wealth.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been seeing a series of meetings with different stakeholders. The President, Bola Tinubu, met with members elected for the 10th National Assembly. They will be inaugurated on Tuesday, which is the 13th of June, 2023. Now we are entering into the final moments before the members elected into the 10th National Assembly will elect presiding officers in both chambers. There's been a lot of horse trading, and there are several interventions, of course, in a series of interest on the leadership. The president is interested, Bola Tinubu. He met with members-elect, but some of them were absent. Some of those who are absent are those who we understand might be opposing the APC stance. Well, a civil rights organization is also interested. Uriwa is a human rights association of Nigeria who is opposed the choice of the APC, especially for the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. They said he is not shown enough capacity for him to get into that office, and they're not confident on his previous performance in public office to handle the enormity of the task of that office. Well, the national coordinator of the group is here with me in the studio, and I have a senator-elect, one of those who are supporting and pushing for the Senator Godswill Akpabio. He's on the side of the APC and, understands party leadership and administration. Senator-elect Sali Mustafa, thank you so much indeed, gentlemen, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Senator-elect, how is it coming?
Well, it's looking good. And
final days.
Well, everybody is anxious, and the most important thing is for us to get the ball rolling and bring about what we call Project Nigeria. We've won elections, we've campaigned the length and breadth of the country. We're now here in the center as federal legislators. The most important thing is how do we secure, stabilize, and move the country forward by supporting the administration.
But you had a meeting with the president yesterday.
Yes.
How would you describe that meeting?
Well, it was a very cordial meeting, and everybody that attended that meeting gave it to President Tinubu. The way and manner he approached the meeting, the way he appealed to the sensibility of everyone in that meeting hall was marvelous. He did not come out with any coercive force. He only appealed to our sensibilities and also pleaded that we should please work together. The most important thing is let us deliver on the promise of our campaigns. Let us deliver on the dividends of democracy to move the country forward.
Are you worried that there are opposition despite the intervention of President Tinubu? The party has made its position known, but there are still people who are unhappy. The likes of Senator Ojuzo Kalu, Senator Osita Ezenaso, Senator Abdulaziz Yari, and a number of opposition lawmakers were not at the meeting, and they've shown that they're not going with the decision of the party.
You see, as a former party administrator, this was one of the reasons we were always pushing for people to buy into the party manifesto. You see, we have a culture here that people just jump from party A to party B, all in the name of winning elections. If you really believe in the ideology of the party, then you won't get to this stage and be having this disagreement with your party. We should be thinking of how do we deliver on the party ideology, on the party's manifesto. If we are all true members of a party and we believe in it and we have ideological conviction, we will not have this disagreement. Are you
saying that those who do not stand or who do not support the party's position they are not party men?
I'm not saying they are not party men. They are party men, but they don't really have the ideology of this party. When we were forming this party, we had an ideology. And you see, for me, I believe people should sometimes allow consultations to take place. There was enough consultation before the party arrived at this choice. APC as a party, we had a political solution to win election. We've won election. Now the most important thing is to secure and stabilize the country.
The question is whether the party did right by the members of the party in the manner in which the party had done it, because there are those who said they were not consulted before the party made that decision. So if you are following the party's position, you first of all ask, was the party doing the right thing?
Yes.
Has your party done the right thing?
Yes, the party has done the right thing, and there was enough consultation. Look, let me quickly remind people, Sheung. Sometimes we don't copy well. The American system we're copying. In America, the head of the Senate is the vice president. Does that make them a rubber stamp Senate? No. So why should we always have this idea that the legislator must be confrontational with the executive? The most important thing is the Nigerian people who have voted for us let us try and make sure we meet up to their demands. Let us work together and deliver on the dividends of democracy. That is the most important thing.
I'll come to you in a moment. Let me bring in Emmanuel Onwubiko, who is the National Coordinator of Uriwa. Thank you so much, Ms. Onwubiko, for joining us today. Your organization is interested. I saw your statement on the issue of subsidy. I saw your statement on a few issues. But this one particularly, on the 10th National Assembly leadership politics, seems to have drawn attention. And perhaps the reason why you're invited tonight, why are you concerned, or what is your own concern with the National Assembly politics?
Well, as a Nigerian citizen, and as one of the those who participated in the last election, I have a local standard, just like about 8,000 of our registered members of Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria were interested in not seeing a rubber stamp National Assembly, the type we had in the last 8 years. Ahmed Lawan and the other fellow, Femi Badebemila. One of them, I can vividly remember, said, whatever Mr. President sends to them, they are just going to stamp it because they believe that Mr. President, that is the last president, has the goodwill of the country. And the first speaker, a senator-elect, and one of the APC party leaders that we have always known, said we copied wrongly from the American system of government. We did not copy wrongly from the American system of government because we are not America, we are Nigeria. And Nigeria democracy is just a new democracy, just a baby democracy, and we are on a very learning curve. And our constitution is there as a guide, a constitution, not the party manifesto. The most important and strategic legal rule that governs everybody, including political parties. Because political party is just a minute organ encompassed in the Constitution. You asked about our interests. The people of Nigeria are the owners of the sovereignty of Nigeria. If you go to chapter 2 of the Constitution, section 14, and you go down there, you see it. So the Constitution in section 50A and B has stipulated that the election of the leadership of the National Assembly, both at the Senate and the Federal House of Representatives, I don't want to use that derogatory word, lower and upper, because there's nothing like lower and upper. Both chambers of the National Assembly are key partners in, giving us sound qualitative laws that will serve the interests of the people. But what is happening, what we have seen since His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was declared the winner by INEC, and suddenly he got sworn in. In fact, before he was even sworn in on May 29th, it became so clear to every Nigerian that he has already made up his mind that a certain person from South, and he microzoned that position of Senate President, that is the leader of the National Assembly, chairman of the National Assembly. We're not very much concerned about whoever becomes a speaker. We're concerned about who becomes the leader of the National Assembly. That's the Senate President. He is like the man who provides the guide. You know, that it must be Fabio. And we said, no, you don't do that. You cannot superimpose a candidate on adults. You're not the headmaster that will be talking to pupils and said, in fact, even in the primary school, secondary school, we have what they call elective activity to elect class monitors, honorary class monitor in the secondary school and even primary school are not imposed by the headmaster or any other person, but are usually elected by those who are in that class, whom the class monitor is expected to serve their interest. So, Section 50A and B of the Nigerian Constitution, that is the ground norm, that is the major, the supreme law of the land has stated that it is only the members of the National Assembly, not the president, not the party chairman, not the party leadership. The party has already performed their function by allowing those of their members to contest, have already sponsored those of their members to contest for elected offices, and they have won. You don't have the mandate to impose it on them. You can suggest.
Well, I mean,
like
is
what
it subjected to?
US and other,
is it subjected to the? It will be subjected to. So I see the decision of the party in consultation with the president-elect at the time, with the president now, that these are suggestions which will be subjected to an election.
They are not.
And that's the reason why you think they are not?
They are not.
Because there are people who are opposed.
If you read the story that had just circulated about 30 minutes ago, it says President Tinubu, ex-Governor Yari, in fresh tussle over 10th Senate presidency. There was no consultation. There was no agreement. In fact, the Constitution did not say you have to consult. If you have a copy of the Constitution or you have your Google, you Google it. Section 50A and B of the Constitution says the modality for electing who becomes the Senate President. The Senate President is not superior than any other member of the...
But we've seen a situation where the President in the past had said, this is where I'm going, and members on the floor decide to go the other way.
Which is the right thing. Which is the right thing to do.
Because
the President has a right as a citizen of the country. It is not in his place to suggest that this person, and he insists that a particular person or a zone must produce the Senate President.
What do you think is right in your own, just a moment, Senator-elect, what would you say is a right thing to do? There are opposition to the position of the party and that of the President and the Vice President on how the leadership of the National Assembly should be. But in your own sense, at Uriwa, what do you sense that should be the right thing to be done?
Most Nigerians, not just Uriwa is just a very small NGO, I speak the mind of a lot of Nigerians. And if you read the editorial of The Guardian, that was published like 2 days back, about the kind of intense, they call it that scandalous race to 10th National Assembly leadership. It's only a man who has not lived in this country physically, maybe a man existing in the outer space, that does not know the experiences so many of us had with the rubber stamp Senate and the Federal House of Representatives led by Senator Ahmed Lawan and the other guy, Femi Bajabamila. Ironically, Ahmed Lawan, that is the chief rubber stamp leader of the Senate, is on the other side of the divide. He's now saying, no, Mr. President cannot bring Akpabio as the Senate President. So, I mean, it's very comical. He is the person that President Muhammadu Buhari imposed on the 9th session of the National Assembly, and he kept rubber stamping every request from the president and has led us into debt trap. The kind of debt that Ahmed Lawan and President Muhammadu Buhari has accumulated for every Nigerian from China, from God knows where, won't be repaid in the next 60 years.
You particularly, I read you said, you particularly raised a question mark on the capacity of Senator Godswill Akpabio.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we don't have any personal grudge or any personal differences with Akpabio. I don't even know him. If I see him today, maybe because he's always in the papers or on your TVs, I will be able to know him. But we read in the press that the EFCC invited him to appear before them. Not that he's already guilty as accused. Section 36.5, we know that Section 36.5 says a man who is accused of any crime, of committing a crime, alleged crime, is innocent in the eye of the law. But if a man, have I been taken to, has EFCC called me or called the gentleman that is here or called you that you have a case to answer? If a man has been called by the EFCC to provide answers to certain queries regarding how he managed the resources of NDDC as the Minister of National Data, he has to go and give account of what has happened there.
Have you been reading what has been happening? It's not only him.
Yes.
There are a few others in the Senate or that are elected, that are going into the National Assembly, who have these sort of issues around them. Even Senator Abdulaziz Yari, who is up against in contest with Senator Akpabio, his lawyers have gone to court and asked that an ex parte order so that he's not going to be arrested by any security agency. So, either way you look at it, you see that your allegations or your grievance against Senator Akpabio might not be an isolated issue.
No, they're not. They're two different things. And by the way, we are not here because of Senator Yari or Senator anything. We are here for the purposes of defending the integrity of the National Assembly. The National Assembly is not for my friend who is a senator-elect. He's just privileged to be a senator-elect. Any other person in Worcester Market can be senator-elect if you have the requisite qualification to contest elections.
I beg your
any
pardon.
other person. There are graduates, there are PhD holders in the market. That your marketplace doesn't mean you didn't go to school.
Please.
So it's not the same. I'm coming, my gentleman. It's not the same thing with Senator Yari's allegation by EFCC that his lawyers have already gone to court to obtain a stay. To obtain a restraining order against the EFCC. But there's nothing like that in the case of Akpabio. In the case of Akpabio, he has had multiple invitations. Even the other time, we're even surprised how just few media houses reported that he was allegedly he visited the EFCC and provided information to the EFCC immediately he left as the governor of that state.
That's right, Mr. Mubiko. Yes. Let me allow Senator-elect. Yes. I mean, these are issues that have been raised. Albeit, he's not a politician. He's a civil society, members of the civil society. But how do you react to these sort of issues?
You see, thank you, Sean. Some of us have been in that same civil society movement before. And I know how passionate sometimes they speak. But you see, sometimes we should be guided by information. We should not just pick things and just make up ideas or imagine things. Akpabio is not under any restraining order by EFCC or any court order that he should be arrested. He was invited, he reported there, and he gave clarity to whatever they wanted to know. Number two, NDDC is still running with or without Akpabio. So if there are allegations or if there are investigations being carried out, they should call the accounting officers. Number three, Akpabio served under a president who gave him approvals. So when people sometimes, for lack of information or due to campaign of calumny, say things and accuse people sometimes, it's wrong. Akpabio is not under...
He's raised... So let's take the issues one after the other. He raised one of the issues that he raised is as to the integrity of the process. That how would some few people come together and decide who should be the National Assembly? So he raised a question mark on how the president and the party would tell the whole of the country whom they prefer, and why not subject it to an election by the lawmakers elected?
Now, Sean, if I may guide us here, because I like sometimes we guide ourselves so that we can benefit properly from discourse. APC is the majority party today in the National Assembly. APC as a party has a covenant with Nigerian people to deliver on certain promises. The president has not forced anybody to say you must vote Akpabio. The president has not forced anybody to say you must vote Tajuddin Abbas. All they've done is that they've advised and they've sought our understanding, and he appealed to us yesterday to say, please, gentlemen, I would like if you can do me this favor so as to get my government on a good note, from a good start. And if he's asking for that favor, because he knows the capacity of the person who, for the privilege of coming from that zone that has been zoned to, so as to have some certain balance. I said something earlier. I said APC had a political solution to win election. Now, we've sat back, we've looked at the drawing board, we're now looking at the possibilities and the options of, first and foremost, stabilizing and securing so as to move the country forward and to give others a sense of belonging. It's about Project Nigeria now. All hands must be on deck. And this is the only president so far who, from his first 10 days or 2 weeks in office, is appealing to say, look, whatever has happened in the past, can we all come together now and see how we can move this country forward? There are challenges before us.
Senator-elect, how do you convince Nigerians who are watching tonight, who have a perception about the National Assembly, especially the last one, and perhaps label them, tag the National Assembly as a rubber-stamped National Assembly? How would you convince them that same thing will not happen in the light of the fact that if these guys who are being selected or are anointed by the party becomes the leaders of the National Assembly, that they will not pander to the caprices of the executive arm of government? the role of the National Assembly include oversight. And that's one of the reasons why the criticism from those who feel that the National Assembly have been behaving like a rubber stamp. How do you convince and tell Nigerians that that wouldn't be the case?
Well, Sean, in the past, if you accuse the Ninth Assembly of that, I will not also accuse them, because sometimes the spectators are better footballers than those on the pitch. They know what they were going through. Within ourselves now, the 109 senators, we've been mingling around ourselves. We know ourselves. We're not just meeting for the first time. Akpabio has the capacity to lead the 10th Senate. He's demonstrated it as a governor of Akwa Ibom State. Everybody that knew Akwa Ibom when it was created out of the old Cross River State and maybe one other state will tell you what Akwa Ibom was then and how he was able to put Akwa Ibom on a very progressive trajectory. So it's not enough for us to sit here, especially for those of us who don't have the local standing to participate in that election that day, to start condemning somebody just on the face value of what you see in the papers, maybe sponsored by his opponents. We believe in his capacity. We know he can deliver. And don't forget, it's not just about Akpabio. It's about all of us. And he is just first among equals.
All right. Mr. Nwubiko, where do you go from here? It does look like the president has stated his position. The National Assembly members will go on Tuesday. Should everything go according to the APC and the president's plan? What will be your position?
Yeah, there's a mistake he made. He said Akpabio was invited and he presented himself and clarified issues. That was the first time he was invited, when he was a governor. As Minister of Niger Delta, and the invitation that was extended to him by EFCC was only responded to by his lawyer. Show me evidence where he attended the invitation that was handed to him by EFCC, and the EFCC is just suddenly quiet. We don't know what's happening. Maybe EFCC is also part of whatever gimmick is going on behind. And you don't have to say that those of us don't know. What do you know, National Assembly? That a journalist of about 25 years standing, I'm a journalist at the highest level, I practice at the highest level, the Guardian newspapers, at the highest level of journalism. I covered the course for 7 years. So you don't just say those of us who don't have locals. What do you mean by those who don't have locals? Have you read the Constitution? Who owns the sovereignty of Nigeria? The people of Nigeria own the sovereignty of Nigeria.
Are you going to cast a vote? Wait, are you going to cast a vote?
What is the implication? What is the import? It doesn't matter whether I'm going to vote or not. It doesn't matter. Will Mr. Tinubu vote on that day? So what are you talking about? I'm just like Mr. Tinubu.
Has Tinubu forced anybody to vote for?
He has. He has been saying it. He has been. He told you. Language, he told you. He's been in the media. Please, can you tell Nigerians what section 50A and B says?
Just for a moment.
Section 50A and B. No, have to read it out.
Just for a moment. Just for a moment. I don't want to. This is a conversation.
It's a conversation.
It's a discussion. So we don't have to. Absolutely.
So
I wanted to rest your case, Mr. Nwubiko, tonight. And I asked the question, what do you think will be your own reaction, or how would you relate to what has become more or less an obvious path in the way and manner the APC says they will go on Tuesday?
Yes, APC is a majority, but it has a very small majority, just 57 or so, and the other parties have like 50, so or something. What Nigerians expect?
50, 59.
Yes. So is that a majority the way you're talking? Like
we are the majority.
If you say the 9th session, APC was the clear majority, I will say okay. But now they're not the clear majority. They have to work with the minority, the smaller parties, to even produce a Senate president, which other smaller parties have acceded to. Right. So what Nigerians expect is for them to abide by Section 50A and B of the Constitution, which says a president and deputy president of the Senate who shall be elected by the members of that house from among themselves, and the speaker and the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives who shall be elected by the members of that house from among themselves. Let every senator that will be sworn in on that day, let every member of the Federal House of Representatives, it doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim, we don't even want to talk about the Muslim ticket that the APC has forced Nigerians to accept. So whether it's a Muslim, whether it's an animist, whether it's an atheist, whether it's anybody, whether it's Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, everybody should be allowed to show up and contest.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nwubiko. Senator, I'd like your final thought.
Well, Sean, honestly, I would have loved to raise this discourse and debate on how we should convince ourselves. How I wish he was the senator, maybe supporting Yari or Oji Zokalu or Osita Isunazom, then we'll be able to tell ourselves what we think our candidates or the agenda our candidates are bringing forth to convince others to vote for them. But when you sit here, you accuse the president. The president has not come out to say everybody must go and vote Akpabio. He has not done that. He's a Democrat. He was in the Senate before. And that is why we are going for an election. So I don't know why you are so agitated. For me, it doesn't give any reasoning because your agitation just makes me feel as if you have maybe you have something against Akpabio or the APC. I've just told you, APC as a party, we are 59.
You are talking to Nigerians, not me.
No, I'm also telling you, I'm also educating you on that.
No, but you're wrong.
We have 59 senators, and PDP has about 36. Labour Party has about 8. SDP 2. NNPP 2. YPP 1. So we still have the majority.
Senator, so that we can close now, do you see any possible upset on that day?
Well, I hope and I pray my colleagues will see reason in supporting the advice and the plea from Mr. President so as to have a smooth and cordial working relationship both between the executive and the legislature so that we can get the ball rolling immediately. The most important thing is let us deliver our mandates.
Senator-elect Saliu Mustafa, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. And Mr. Emmanuel Omubiko, the National Coordinator of URIWA. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We're looking forward to Tuesday. It's indeed going to be as interesting, but I'm not sure it's going to be as intense as it has been. But then, we'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, we will be speaking with the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutuan. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Following the proclamation by the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the management of the National Assembly wishes to inform all distinguished senators-elect and honorable members-elect that the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Tuesday, 13th June 2023. Venue, National Assembly Complex, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Distinguished senators-elect and honorable members-elect are required to come along with their Code of Conduct clearance, certificates of return and valid ID cards for registration at 10 a.m. on Monday, 12th of June 2023 at the House of Representatives Conference Room 301 and Senate Conference Room 231, respectively. Due to the ongoing renovation of the two chambers, senators-elect and honorable members-elect are to come along with only one guest for the ceremony who will be seated at the arcade. Note that only senators-elect and members-elect shall be given access to the chambers. Signed, Sani Magadi Tambawal, FCNA, Clerk to the National Assembly.
In the corridors of power, a new chapter unfolds. The 10th National Assembly beckons, and at its helm, a leader of unwavering resolve and unyielding dedication, Senator Godswill Akpabio, a beacon of hope for a brighter Nigeria. Senator Akpabio's journey has been one of fearless leadership and steadfast commitment. From commissioner to governor, from senator to minister, his uncommon transformation has reverberated across the nation, earning him the nickname Uncommon. Beyond his remarkable accomplishments, Senator Akpabio's heart beats for the unity of our great nation. Today, as he aspires to be the Senate's president of the 10th Senate, Senator Akpabio's unyielding passion for an egalitarian Nigeria fuels his vision for a united nation, where every citizen's voice is heard and respected. Support Senator Godswill Akpabio for the Senate President of the 10th Senate and join the movement for a united Nigeria, where our shared aspirations become our collective reality.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux Color Center to get any color instantly. Dulux, let's color.
Oga, that madam be outside, she don't come.
Daily activities comes with different challenges. In a bid to accomplish your daily task, malaria has a way of getting you into distress. P-Alaxin anti-malaria keeps you capable and ensures you deliver against all odds.
Madam, I feel your face don't calm down. You feel like malaria no one. Malaria don't run. Turn to P-Alaxin anti-malaria medicine. I tell you. Thank you.
P-Alaxin, marketed by Greenlight Pharmaceuticals Limited. P-Alaxin defeats malaria.
You're heading home from work. In the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow, just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar street lights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
Everyone for staying with us on the program. President Bola Tinubu today met with traditional rulers from across the country. Today at the State House in Abuja, the traditional rulers were led by their chairman and co-chairman, the Sultan of Sokoto and the Oni of Ife. The president sought the help of the rulers in securing the nation and support for his government to give the Nigerians the benefit of what he promised at the campaigns. The president spoke on the decision to remove subsidy among several other things. Let me allow you to listen to him.
To me, I don't want to move anybody. But the Nigerian project is of paramount importance to me. That's why I'm here. Nigeria must survive. Nigeria must develop. Nigeria must make progress. Why should we, in good sense, in good heart, feed smugglers, be a Father Christmas to the neighboring country, and even though they say not That's what's going to bring Nigeria to its knees is the subsidy. A country that cannot pay salary, and say potential. We encourage ourselves. I think we did the right thing.
As President Tinubu today, he spoke for about 20 minutes, the traditional rule. President Tinubu also met with Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State at the State House in Abuja. The meeting yesterday was held behind closed doors and lasted about an hour. And reason for the meeting was not made public, but it was assumed it touched on the security situation in the Plateau, especially the recent wave of attacks in Mango local government area of the state. I have joining me tonight the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutfwang. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us.
Thank you, Sheol. Good evening, Nigerians.
Your meeting with the President, how did it go?
Fantastic meeting. I was privileged and honored to have a meeting with Mr. President at very short notice. Like you rightly said, the meeting centered around the challenges of security in the Plateau. And I found Mr. President full of listening ears, full of determination to deal with the issues. And I think it's going to be a welcome change.
Did he offer any kind of support? Is there an understanding of the problem? And what was his response in terms of support that he could give?
Yes. The response of Mr. President was reassuring. His understanding of the problem was quite comforting. And certainly, Mr. President is obviously showing that he has a political will to deal with the issues. And he's about to set up the security architecture, rejig the security architecture in the country. And I'm sure it's going to come with a new vigor, with a new sense of patriotism and nationalism that I'm sure we will be able to have some respite at the end of the day.
I'll come into your own view, I mean, as a chief executive yourself of a state, and what your own advice would be to the chief executive of Nigeria, which is the president, because there are a lot of anticipation, and those who think that there are paths that the president should go and the path that he should not go. I will come to that in a moment.
Thank you.
From your own point of view, as the governor of Plateau State, what did you identify as the problem?
Yes, Sharon, it's been a problem that has built up over the years and has become a sort of a vicious cycle. The first fundamental issue is that there is the breakdown of trust, both intra-communities and inter-communities, which open the flanks for, of course, eventually non-state actors who have the weapons of violence to come into the situation and have further escalated the situation. And therefore, we are having a situation now where a lot of people who we are yet to fully identify are coming into the fray. So there's a lot of attacks and reprisals, attacks and counterattacks, but by and large, we're seeing a pattern that is emerging. In Plateau State, I can tell you that 80% of the situation is pure genocide simplicity.
Against the people of the Plateau?
Against the people of Plateau.
Who are these people?
Well, the people say they are foreign mercenaries. Communities report to us where they see people dressed in black clothes with hood, coming in their hundreds, sometimes 3 on a motorbike, and you could find 50 motorbikes at a stretch or even more. And they come, attack, and they run away. A few that have been caught cannot even speak any Nigerian language. And so the question we've been asking, who sent them? Who called for them? even assuming that there was a crisis in that community between, say, a herder and a farmer who called for help from these foreign mercenaries. These are questions the security agencies must help us to unravel. So,
I mean, and I'd like to know, are there a certain community that has been targeted, or, I mean, over the years? I mean, from your own point of view, you've been a local government chairman, so you have a local intelligence and understanding of what the problem is. There a group of people that are precisely targeted of these attacks, in these all attacks?
Yes. Over the years, the attacks have varied from local government to local government, but I will tell you that largely concentrated in the northern part of Plateau State. And, but in the last 1 month, strangely and somewhat coincidentally, it has shifted to the local government, my own local government, which is Mangu local government, and the local government where my deputy is from, which is Riom. They have been under intense siege.
Do you think that this is targeted?
It's difficult to say no to that proposition because Mangu has been in Hausa, they call it Tudundasira. That means it is a safe place to be. And then suddenly, without any provocation, it has come under such intense barrage of foreign attacks. And therefore, we begin to ask, why Mangu at this point?
And now Riom.
And now Riom at this point.
You understand that 4 people were killed a few days ago.
Last night, 4 people were killed in Mangu local government. In conservatively shown, I'll put it that in the last 3 weeks, we have buried not less than 150 people.
In Plateau State alone?
In Mangu local government.
In Mangu local
government. And as I'm talking to you, we have not less than 30,000 people scattered in various IDP camps that we are having to deal with now.
How many communities are people deserted? Do you have an idea?
As in the immediate attacks, we certainly have something close to 12 to 15 communities that have been attacked and displaced. But I can tell you that overall, on the plateau, even before I emerged as governor, we had 64 communities that had been taken over and even renamed from the traditional names of those communities.
So is this a case of genocide and land grabbing?
It is difficult to say no to that understanding.
Genocide is an intentional act to wipe out a certain group of people.
Absolutely.
So why would these people come and want to wipe a group of people? Have they been a threat to them, or what exactly is going on?
Sheun, Plateau is a beautiful land. Plateau is God's gift to mankind. You need to take a tour of Plateau, you see the beauty of the land. And suddenly, I think the land has become in contention. It is not about whether the land is enough to contain everybody. It is greed, wanting to take over and to have dominion over the land.
Are these areas grazing areas that are in contention?
No, they are farming lands. They are farming lands. Traditionally,
but
what had happened...
They are also lush.
Yes,
they
are very lush. They are very lush. But traditionally, the understanding between farmers and herders is that during the farming season, the herders don't touch the farms. And we had mechanisms in place where when cows stray into farms, there's a community arrangement that these issues are settled. But this is beyond that. You know, when you come and even prevent people from farming, and you take it over with cows, and then it becomes questionable. What is the motive?
I mean, speaking with a few people, they said, look, they can identify the problem or the attraction of these invaders and attackers to 2 things: mining activities and the fertility of the land on the plateau.
Absolutely. Because I can tell you that the Directorate of State Security, the DSS, has battled terrorism in some parts of Plateau in the last 1 year plus, getting to 2. And the only reason we can fathom where those terrorists came in and to occupy that land in Kanam, in Wase, is because of the presence of mineral deposits. And is also part of the the Bauchi-Gombe Trough, where oil has been discovered. So, yes, there is a direct correlation between insurgency, terrorism, and natural wealth.
Because when we wonder how these number of people, the invaders, will come into the communities, they will do the attack and they leave, and they are unstopped, unchecked, and they do it over and over and over again.
Very well. There certainly, sometimes painfully, Sheun, I must tell you, sometimes painfully, there is some bit of collusion from some of the security agencies. So there have been those allegations, because for them to have a field day unchallenged. But that's why I told you in the last 1 year plus, the DSS has done a fantastic job on the plateau in trying to repel some of these terrorists.
And I'd like to ask you, you are in charge now. You have the responsibility. The liabilities are on the land. The equation is now between you, who is the leader of the people, the governor, the security, the man in charge of security of Plateau State, and against these invaders. Are you resolved to use any measure whatsoever to stop these people?
Yes, Sheun, the determination and resolve is absolutely there. But again, you know that our security architecture places a limitation on us. That's why I had to approach Mr. President for a new approach to the issue. Constitutionally, the security agencies are under Mr. President, and there's a limit to which I can give them directives. But by and large, what we are doing is to ensure that the communities become more vigilant and therefore eliminate the element of surprise from these attackers. And we're encouraging the youths more and more to refrain from vices that take away their attention so that they can be able to protect their communities.
What promise did the president make to you?
The president made a promise that help will soon be on the way. I'd leave it there.
Okay. I mean, and it comes to the point that I've had a lot of people in our agenda-setting conversation that said, look, it's the seriousness of the kind of people, since you said that the president had talked about setting the architecture, the kind of persons that the president, because these issues are very serious issues.
Yes.
I mean, from your own point of view, what are the kind of persons do you think that the president should be considering for us to be able to deal with this problem?
Thank you, Sheun. I took opportunity to urge Mr. President, and I think he's already thinking in that direction, that we must bring back professionalism into the armed forces, into the security architecture. We must be able to take away politicians who are likely to be subjective in the analysis of the situation, bring in core professionals, both in the Ministry of Defense, in the National Security Advisor's Office, and let there be a synergy. I'm sure when you bring in core professionals, there will be less bias, and therefore there will be less interference, and people will be able to do their jobs objectively.
People, I mean, I've mentioned the NSA's office, and those who have said like, more of our problems is more of policing, internal policing problem, not a military force problem. I mean, the caliber of person that said it has to be at the very top. What did he tell the president?
I can tell you, Sheun, that we are blessed with professionals in every arm of the security architecture. The president must identify people who have been suppressed in some of those organizations because they do not have any godfather, and therefore must be able to allow them to come up and do the job to which they have sworn to do to protect the nation.
My final questions to you, I know you're a Christian, so you probably will. Did you see the video of Governor El-Rufai, former Governor El-Rufai, which was interpreted as to the issue of religion and ICE being used in politics? A lot of reactions have gone to that. Did you see that video?
I listened to the video clip, and I hope Governor El-Rufai, whom I hold in very high esteem, would one day explain to Nigerians the context in which he said those things. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he does not mean to cause a conflagration in this country. I therefore want to use the opportunity to call on leaders across the nation. This is the time for nation building. This is a time for bipartisanship. This is a time for us to be able to speak like statesmen. And I'm glad when the president addressed the governors he spoke like a statesman. And I believe that this is a time that every leader must find the statesman in him and make sure that we are able to advocate peaceful coexistence in this country so that Nigeria can develop at the pace it was meant to develop.
Governor Caleb Mutwangi, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you,
hopefully, when things improve and how things progress in the Plateau, kindly please reach out so that we can let Nigerians know what you're doing there. Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Sherwood.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nigeria.
I appreciate it.
God bless.
Well, interesting dynamics happening, especially with the meetings in the presidential villa today. A former governor of Kano State, two former governors of Kano State were at the villa today to see President Bola Tinubu. One is Senator Rabi Ukwankonso, who was the presidential candidate of the NNPP, and now the immediate past governor of Kano State, Governor Umaru Abdullahi Ganduje, was also there. But the governor, former Governor Ganduje, said he knows that Senator Ukwankonso was in the building, and if he met him, he said he was going to do something. I'll allow you to listen to him, what he said he was going to do to Senator Ukwankonso if he met him face to face.
If we cannot respect what a previous government has done, to consider it illegal without going through due process, how can we administer public like that? So these are the issues with the cliff. It's not a hearsay. We have the thing going on. People are abusing the government now. Those who can speak Hausa, we can put the clip for you to hear what they are saying. And unfortunately, some of their members have even...
Well, it didn't quite get to that point. I'm very sure that you will see. But, quoting him, he was said to have said, I know he's in the building, but we have not met. Probably, if we met, maybe I could have slapped him. I hope that did not happen. That's how we draw the curtains of the program tonight. Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. I'll see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. Have a wonderful weekend.